Sports. What time is it?
Okay, we have some fabulous live music later on, but right now, here's the kind I prefer.
What's up? It's your boy Styles here, westcoaststyles.com. And as you can see, I got my WCS merch on here, which you could get at the store at westcoaststyles.com. And today we got a special guest in the house. We've got Myka 9, man. Legendary MC. Legendary MC from the West Coast. We're going to get into his history. And if you don't know about Myka 9, you're going to learn something today. Junior, before we get into this interview, please play this video that we have stored up. I just want to play this video before I get into the interview, please. June, you there? Okay, here we go. I guess it's got an ad that it's got to run through. All right, we're going. Here we go. No sound to it?
I can hear it. I don't hear the sound though.
Well, okay.
It's the young cats doing their thing. Them young jazzy rap cats.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, this is the Inner City Boundaries video, and man, let me tell you something. I used to put on Yo MTV Raps, and this video would come on, and man, it just blew my mind because there was nothing like it at the time in hip hop. I mean, you guys really created something here as far as style is concerned. So before we get deep into this video, into this interview, can you tell me about the making of this song, please? Because it's a personal favorite of mine.
Okay. The track, the music was written and score and page for a band by Randall Willis, friend of JMD Moore, Daryl JMD Moore, friend of his, played the sax. He wrote it and it was called There Comes a Time. And so I had been working on a piece for it, but it wasn't that complete. And so we wanted to cap the album off with something that was more of an homage to jazz, but still breaking rules and, you know, just doing something different. And so we kind of came with like the mantra for it. However, we only had 15 minutes to record it.
Mm-hmm.
We tracked it in Daddy-O's studio in Brooklyn. Shout out Daddy-O, Sonic. Yeah. Shout out Kedar, our manager at the time. And he suggested that we just go in there and go for it. And so Eazy wrote the lyrics and stuff. And then I wrote a little bit too. And then somebody else wrote some stuff. And I guess the key was to see if we could say the same thing over this jazz track, but say it different and kind of make it a repetitive mantra in that sense, instead of just straight rap verses.
Mm.
So I think we all went in there and kind of one take jaked it for each particular person that went in and did their part. And then later the label mixed it and put it out, and it became a video and the whole everything. So I was just like, all right, you know, cool. I'll swing with it. That's having fun.
Even to this day, there are times like where I'm walking down the street or I'm doing something, and just out of nowhere, I'll bust out with, I gotta be conscious, I gotta be free, I gotta be righteous. You know, I start singing. I mean, I messed it up right there, but you know, I just start singing out that hook out of nowhere. You know, that's how much it's been embedded to me over time. It's awesome.
Well, yeah, I thought it was interesting to stretch out those words, those vowels in those words. And, you know, sometimes my friends from back in the day, they make fun of me. Like, gotta be righteous, I gotta be me.
Wow.
They'll just hold it. Like, it's just so obnoxious. But that was a positive message, no doubt. And way progressive. Shout out to the whole ensemble. You had Najee Murray on vibes. Had I think one of them said Christy Smith on bass, or no, Kevin O'Neill on bass, and you had Joe Williams on trumpet, had Michael Williams on piano. Yeah, I remember those tracks. JMD on drums, of course. And that was
But
me.
you know what?
AC Alone, shout out AC Alone, shout out Sub Jupiter, shout out Ntula Aziza Peace, shout out DJ Kilu. Go ahead. Project Blood, Haiku Ta. Hey, hey.
Yeah. So one thing I loved about the Freestyle Fellowship and was that the flows were just like it's astounding. How you guys get up there and just mimic the jazz horns. With your flow. You know what I mean? It's like like on that song, it's like who you got surrounding me, the boundaries, and you guys are. you know, Tell me about the development of that type of style and flow, please.
Well, I started chopping when I was a kid, back in like the early mid '80s, and that was a culmination of because we already were battling and rapping kind of like how they did on the radio and whatever else. So it was just basic b-boy rapping. But no, for me, it was my parents were jazz musicians. My mom and dad, rest in peace, rest in peace. But they were jazz musicians in the music and stuff, and I like I was exposed early on to the bop and all that kind of stuff, and then with the dance hall too, and the West Indian roots and all of that, and you get the dance hall styles. So I just thought it was fun to kind of mix that together with a little bit more of a maybe even the last poet to Watts Prophets kind of sense of urgency, or this day more defined as adding tension and release. So the tension would build toward that blow up moment, like, oh, he blew up, because he built a lot of tension. Then there's just that release of either the style continuance or him switching the style, or similar to when they pull the beat out while somebody's rapping, and then when the beat comes back in and they come in on beat on time, how that moves people a certain way.
Yeah.
Those transcendental tribal, elements of music, song, and dance that still affect us as humans. So chopping was mainly from that, and creating a sense of urgency, that urgency of now, and sense of, the franticness or the intensity that comes when someone talking to you and giving you a lot of instructions in a rapid fire delivery, combined with what could have been appreciated or not appreciated, but at least spoofed, or maybe subconsciously tapping into that auctioneer. That auctioneer, right?
Okay. So
What I'm talking about, right?
while we're talking about the flow,
sold to the American. You know what I mean?
nice. Now while we're on the topic of the flow and very melodic, you guys introduce melody into rhyming and harmony.
Yeah,
And
man.
a lot of people believe that you guys inspired Bone Thugs and Harmony, and that's where they got their flow from. What's your take on that, please?
I don't know where anybody gets their flow from. I know I got my flow from me. And I just remember the first time I heard them, because I was friends with Eazy-E, rest in peace. And, you've been hearing my music for the years because, I wrote, on the first NWA and the Posse album.
Which we'll get to, yes.
We went up to a party in the hills. I want to shout out to God Born the Law. I saw him at the party back then. And again, shout out Don Jaguar or Dwayne Earl of Earl's Grill. Because, we used to all hang out and eat those delicious hot dogs at this hot dog stand and play dominoes and, just regular cat, me, Easy, and, just different people that would come by the thing. But he took me up the hill to the party, right? And he's like, man, there's these cats. I forgot what town he said they were from. Cleveland, from, I don't know, Chicago, I don't know. We said, check them out. Let me know what you think. So I'm listening to him. And I'm hearing, their demos. And I'm like, oh, I like that shit. I told me I like that shit, man. You know, they're part of the wave. I like that shit. It's cool. You know, so that's my honesty on it. Then later they hear that they might have came by the Good Life. Shout out everybody from the Good Life
Yeah.
or whatever it is. When I first heard they shit, I liked it, but it wasn't like what they came out with. It was different, which is logical. But I did hear a little bit of that nice, kind of like floaty, but more of a pitch change flow. So I told Eazy-E, you should sign them and put them out, man. I like these cats. I was already on it in my mind. I was like, okay, the more people that are out there doing my style, the more that style can be accepted.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to say it was my style because they don't know me from nobody. Like it could be a coincidence, natural, whatever. I don't know. Because people be all around the world developing shit, and the synergy of the mindset is such that, when you do like remote viewing, sometimes Prime Creator gives us all that are tapped into these creative prayers, a gift of convolution or evolution, because we all wanted to be different and innovative. But I never heard they shit before that time, and I didn't know who they were. Whereas I was already known and put out records, and so was, Fellowship by that time had already did To Whom It May Concern, and already had put out 5 O'Clock Follies, and
Okay.
I'm just having me a little Yardbird. Just have me a little Yardbird right here. That's all. Excuse me.
Okay. Hey, but the reason why
I'm in
I
the
wanted
studio
to
spot right now, and I'm working and shit.
Yeah. The reason I wanted to bring that up with your debut is just because I want more people to know out there where that style originated from, and
Well, you got to think about it.
maybe they did, or maybe they didn't take it, or directly take it from
I'm
you.
saying that Eazy is going to like that, if not suggest that, because their producer, right, back in the day, was my homie Tim, or DJ Unique.
Okay.
And that's a West Coast brother,
Yeah.
Another cat that would hang out with us at the hot dog stand, like with Eazy-E. Me and Don Jaguar, or Earl the Poet, or Dwayne Earl, we rapped. I was Microphone Mike. That later turned to Myka 9. But we were all about rhyming and battling in different styles, and already well advanced in that. I was already doing demos that displayed that style, and I was playing them to people and everything else and putting records out. So it's not too far to assume that people might think that we were setting a trend in culture at the time and wanted to be a part of it. Now, I heard other people call it tuning. Kedar had a couple of artists, but before us now, nobody was doing what we was doing. And I looked and I searched. I dug deep. Like, shout out Diggable Planets, Make a Butterfly Knowledge, and they had the jazz vibe, and they're very advanced in production, and sonic's great. I mean, really good. God is greatest. But they weren't, doing this real hell melodic scat rapping, like kind of like what the Fellowship was doing with that rapid fire. We kind of, and we were playing with the arrangement a lot. Shout out, Cool Keith and Said G and more love and them from Ultramagnetic MCs. Only a few people through the years were playing with arrangement composition where people might match a cadence. Shout out De La Soul, shout out Stetson Sonic. Fellowship was matching cadences and subject matter and rapping in reverse and forward, and shout out Busta Rhymes and Leaders of New School, and then too, like they had the nice backgrounds, but Fellowship was having the backgrounds too. So it was kind of like a culmination of a lot of things where we were attempting to maintain focus on as music was convoluting and the fusion of the different styles. Go ahead, thank you.
That's dope. Let's talk about Microphone Mike for a minute.
That
Man,
guy.
this is Microphone Mike right here from NWA and the Posse. That's pretty fucking dope. Please show me your involvement as Microphone Mike with Ruthless Records, with Eazy-E, with NWA, so people can know your history. Please.
All right, well, it's like this. I first met Dre and Warren G, I think when Uncle Jim's Army had a sound set on what's now King Boulevard, but what was at that time Santa Barbara. And they brought up a flatbed truck and it was DJing in the street. And to me, I always tried to get on the microphone and commandeer the microphone, but back then I was maybe 15. I first met Warren G, he was 14. I was like, that's Dre, huh? He's like, yeah. I was like, you think he'll let us get on the microphone? He's like, man, that's my cousin, man. He won't let me get on the microphone. I said, damn. As soon as I rocked the rock, I met him and shit. We used to go to Rhodium swap meet. We used to hang out at the Crenshaw swap meet, but then we go to Rhodium swap meet and go back and forth and drop off our little mixtapes and buy mixtapes and stuff and, rap and hang out. And so by the time I started writing for other artists, people give me like $50. I'll write you a rap, a song or something. It was good little money for a 15-year-old back then, 16-year-old. And, my pen was active. So there was this one rap group called Rappenstein. And the guys were brothers, and, they would wear their little outfits and do their hair. And, they just like to entertain and have fun and talented, They were kind of like, but they were just kind of like MC Hammer. So, the girls liked them and all that shit. But they were like trying to get on with Dre and Eazy and him. So they said they'd give me some money to write some songs. So I wrote about maybe 4 songs. I guess Dre picked like 2 or 3 of them. And they put together a compilation and called the compilation NWA. But the very first album was called NWA and the Posse. And I'm to hear that went platinum. It had maybe only 1 or 2 of the songs that became on the second NWA album. And I wrote, I think 1 or 2 songs got placed that I wrote on there. I know one of them definitely was Scream. I don't remember that good, but it was Scream. We're screaming at the top of our lungs because we're teaming up on the foods we have on seemingly ringing. That is the sound of the drum. You really put the chair. So that's part of the plan to scream. And I remember I wrote this other one for him like, ooh, did you see what I see? What do you see? You sucker. Where's the mic? Where's the beat? Stop tripping. Hand me the gun. Yo, put the clip in. No. I want to do this slow. Let me know when he's about to roll. I got this covered. Something out, brother. This sucker's about to get smothered. Let's go. Idiot. Give me a move down the block with the homies who rock for the one who blah, blah, blah. So I'm giving them that in 1986. Okay? 1987. They getting that in 85 or whatever years that shit was. And so that might have been too ahead of them. Or they put that out as a single or something, because I know I've seen them, put it out. But I'm writing for different heads like Bo Bill. I used to write for him. He went to high school with me. He ended up doing a lot of music work with Ice-T. And, I used to write rhymes for RBX, who's an excellent writer and MC on his own merit, no doubt.
Yeah, RBX.
But, he was trying to break bread with me. And, he's like, Mike, hey, I got to knock these songs out. Write some ideas down. So I wrote with him. And, RBX ended up being on Dre's album. I dropped bombs like Hiroshima. But at the same time, I did like one of my first records was with a guy named Mantron, I think, or Antron. And I was Microphone Mike, and it was for Jesse Jackson when he was running for president back in the mid-late 80s. And that song played on the radio. It's, go Jesse, go Jesse, go. We did some big shows behind that. Me and Antron. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Did you? And then I put out some other records because me, ACE was AC alone, and Teaspoon. We had a group called MC Aces, and that's where we started. Like I know it was '85 when we did that. Mike and Eddie, because the song Mike, Eric, and Eddie, Haiku to Talk came out as a little era in hearing about what we did in the '80s when it was just Mike and Eddie, because it was around that time. Run DMC did It's Tricky to Rock Around.
Yeah.
So, but we put the stutter on it though.
Oh, okay.
My name is Myka and I'm rocking the mic. That came out when Mike Sharona came out. Whatever shit. But you can hear that little voice, that squeaky voice. You can see it online, right? You go to YouTube. It's like a picture of a boombox and it says MC Aces, Mike and Eddie, and you can hear it.
I'm gonna look that up.
So we're doing little records and stuff. Doing little records, putting out little stuff. Did a record called Throwing Down. Did some other records, and then later I got a single deal with Arista. And shout out John Bukowski. And It was my single deal, but they still wasn't quite sure if I was ready yet. So then they turned it around and made it like the lady. I wrote a song for this lady. I was actually writing it for Whitney Houston, but they had this lady named Carmen Carter sing the song. And so when she did it, we did the singles and the different versions of the single and remixes and stuff. And I learned more about studios and whatnot. And that came out with Arista Records. I want to say rest in peace, Rob One, because he had the last copy of it that I seen. But anyway, it's just interesting to think about those early records and in those days when you were able to, just kind of express yourself. And when you had good running, so for learning the industry, what a bullet rate was or points, royalties, contracts, the process, getting down a little bit, but hey, you live and you learn.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: did you ever? People tell me like when I was going to do this interview, they're like,
Microphone Mike. By the way, Microphone Mike was the B-boy battle lord back then because I played basketball for a 4A division high school. I played for Birmingham. I played for Dorsey, so I was able to go to different schools and battle or rap with every different high school around. So that's how Microphone Mike started. Owning his craft as well as drama class and pep rallies and talent shows. So kind of got me open like that.
Outside of the NWA and the Posse album, did you do any writing for NWA, like on the Straight Outta Compton album or anything else for the group?
Oh, no. I might have made some submissions, but nah, that was those guys, their material, their reality. I was already getting my own deal, doing my own thing, and then that's why I always make sure I clarify. No, it was on NWA and the Posse, not NWA, not that.
That's what I wanted to clear up. I wanted to,
But through the years, me and Dre still stayed close. I had a good rapport. I recorded with Dre and them in the late 90s, maybe like 97, something like that, 98. And I ended up going to jail for a minute. And then during that time, somebody else kind of filled my little slot. I'm not gonna say any names, but that kind of happened like that. And it took me a while to get when I got out of jail to come out, feel a little confident about myself. Plus the underground was already there for me. And so I said, I'm just gonna work this underground circuit and just, keep it going like that. And it paid off for us in our own way. We helped get the world to freestyle, we helped, develop this independent hip hop model. We help seed the ground for underground hip hop and apply it to workshops and grants and things of that nature. And other artists in our field with our brand of hip hop, they have resorts and good business opportunities. Some of these guys are making millions a year, so it's a good deal.
Well, another thing I wanted to really talk about in this interview, aside from the microphone mic thing, was I want to talk about the Good Life Cafe, because that's it's not talked about enough in this industry, especially on the West Coast, and it really was something special where a lot of groups like the Freestyle Fellowship, the Draft Five, and a lot of other groups, that just sprang from it and acts. So can you please talk to us about the Good Life Cafe and just tell us what it was all about?
This. It's always different whenever I explain it. This time around, it's like it was a vegan, cafe, vegetarian cafe. And of course, even if the cats are down there smoking weed or whatever, they're going to get hungry. They're going to drink the water. They're going to get thirsty. They're going to eat the good food and start dibbling and dabbling with wheatgrass and, 5-HTP or whatever it is, that, the little vitamins and stuff and alkaline and and that in itself, I think, played a part. The synergy of so much youth around around the city, different hoods and different sets coming together in peace most of the time with a new rhyme every week and able to freestyle. You couldn't curse and you couldn't be whack. That was something that was keeping us out of trouble. They were saving lives. And we were making new friends and getting record deals. And it's heralded in Ava DuVernay's perspective of the movie that Ava DuVernay did called This Is the Life. I herald that work. I herald all her work. She's the goddess, absolutely. Yet she was also an MC. That was E from Figures of Speech. And yes, she was styling and melodic and all that stuff 2 years before some of the aforementioned MCs you were talking about before with NWA or Eazy-E rather, that Bone Thug, whatever. You know, no one had a patent on style. We all had our individual interpretations of chopping or melodics. But again, the good life, I took to it like I'm off to a light because I had already been going to New York and back every summer, every other year. My mom had a frequent flyer miles, so I'm getting exposed to house music and dance hall, and the finer aspects of coffee shops and the renaissance of that period and that time, which was like a beat gin revamp. Not to say that it ever went anywhere, but a lot of poetry shops, a lot of coffee houses were hosting open mic poetries in New York and in Hollywood, in LA, and California, Highland Grounds, or a New Yorican Cafe or a lounge over in New York. And so I was able to go get the mic, rap a cappella, or change the cadence of my rap to make it sound more spoken wordy.
Mm-hmm.
Once I realized, how they would do it, and the whole slam kind of movement that was going down. This is like in the mid-late 80s. So by the late 80s, when Good Life opened up and started doing its thing all the way on through 94 or however long it went, the open mic culture was better for me because I'm able to do it on a beat. And I'm able to do it with DJs and with other MCs, but we still had to sign up. And they didn't have coffee. But no, shout out Erica Goodking too, because her mom and them, the proprietors of the establishment, they were like the good life itself. It was the good life. I was living the good life, conscious, not partying so hard, just more like good green and like vegetarian and just, fucking around so much talent, it's gonna sword sharpen sword. We're getting deals and getting coin, and like you said, certain careers eclipse each other. I mean, that's the place that gave birth to a lot of groups as well as MCs that have come through. Fat Joe, he came through. I remember him when he came in town. I took him to a couple of spots, took him to Good Life. Who else? You got Black Eyed Peas members that would come either if they wanted dropping science over there in Pasadena. They was coming by Good Life, Will I Am, and shout out Apple, and shout out, what I'm saying? Shout out Charlie Tuna and Jurassic 5, Cut Chemist, of course, incredible talents. Him and just the whole crew. You had Volume 10, shout him out. He had a major funk rap hit, Pistol Grip Pump, man.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Ganja K, rest in peace, Mean Green, and just it was like a place where we can do the MC rapping aspect of B-boy departments on a more sanctioned level, because at the Radiotron we were able to rap too. Shout out Mr. Carmelo. Yet it was more it was more like a hip hop embassy, as opposed to the Good Life, and the night that we had was more just focused on rap.
Yeah.
It wasn't focused on, the stage was too small to dance, and they not had nobody in there spraying. Some people might have got up a little bit around the corner, and a little DJ work is cool, but we didn't highlight too many DJs at that time. It was just mainly about the lyrics and blowing up.
Is it true that that MCs from New York would come to the Good Life and get challenged to get burned? I've heard that.
Well,
I don't know
there'd be a lot of things. You might get somebody that come there and act like they a 5%er just because they're from New York, and think the people here on the West Coast don't have the math. And you might catch somebody from the West Coast, albeit maybe born a law, or maybe one of the other gods at the time that would, give them like a physical discipline. But definitely, when it came to the math, especially if you was rusty or you perpetrating, you get served mathematically or you get served lyrically, because the styles were so advanced. You got to remember, I was going to New York back and forth every summer, so I'm going out there just waxing fools, just having my way with these cats out there. Now, ain't no punks out there either. Yeah. Ain't no slouch, but yeah, it would seem to me that at that particular era, that our scene, or just the way our brand of hip hop was viewed, was grossly underestimated. Because there was just one or two different stereotypes: gangster rap, or LA Dream Team kind of electric dance music rap style, not
Yeah.
like a bona fide skills based approaching the craft as an art, you know, uh, establishment. And that was what we were able to do, no doubt, as well as our comrades down in San Diego, as well as our colleagues in the Bay and Mid Bay and all the way up. We're talking coasts. Because, my posse was on Broadway with Sir Mix-a-Lot, but, he wanted to get that coin too, and Ice-T was 6 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and we had Too Short, and for years we've had, 40 Water and different things. We're known for skills and styles. Even in the
Yeah.
jazz era, New York had its out to lunch kind of mentality of music and the way out progressive jazz scene, but so did the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So did down south and Midwest as well.
Yeah. I think that Project Blowed showed a lot of people what time it was. Can you tell us about your participation with that?
Project Blowed, started with the cats smoking weed, and then AC signed up Project Blowed instead of his own name. And by that time, the good life was getting a little fancy. They started charging artists that made it famous to come in and rap. And, whatever the misunderstandings were at that time, I started going to the jazz scene more. And that was back over to where my dad used to kick it at in Leimert Park. And, because back in the early 80s, they had a cat, Ben Caldwell, and he was doing a movie called I Fresh. And they had a character called Microphone Mike, but I guess they couldn't get me or find me. I heard later maybe it was just the neighborhood I lived in or something. But he still maintained an affection for us and gave Heads a location to not only have a place to do uh, open mic, but also an office and just Ben Caldwell's the man. I want to shout out Jay Smooth too, no doubt. Uh, an abstract rude once again. But the thing about Project Blow was you were able to curse. So that kind of changed the dynamic. And it wasn't a store. It wasn't like any food type related things unless it was a vendor outside. And it was just in next door, from a number of years, they had the Club Juju. And, Ben's been a pillar in the community, Ben Caldwell, pillar in the community. And so Project Blow, becomes a recording, entity as well, putting out the compilations and such. And, shout out Peter Bender and Mass Appeal in them because Project Blow Recordings put out Good Brothers, put out HC Alone Records, put out Freestyle Fellowship Records.
Mhm.
So, I'm gonna also shout out Daddy Kev and Alpha Pup. I also want to shout out every producer I've worked with through those years and DJ. They all deserve mention. Shout out Factor, shout out Joseph Lineberg, shout out Freematic, shout out Abnormal Justice, shout out Adriatic, shout out bands I've worked with like the Slippers, shout out Mike Meeker, shout out um, uh, Organized Elements, Myka and Cam and Nate. A
Mhm.
variety of different people I've worked with through the years, man. It's been such an honor. And Leimert Park has taught me so much about music in general and jazz and I used to play trumpet too for many years, and I don't play anymore. But my ears are the best instruments. But all of that training, the embouchure helped me with my chopping and learning more about pitch and tone and harmony,
Mhm.
and then all the different tenets of the music theory cluster. So it's just been fantastic, man. And just
So,
thank you for asking that question. Thank you for this interview.
for sure. Just a couple more things.
All right, because
Uh,
we're gonna have to wrap it up in a second. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, okay, we're good. Oh, okay. No,
Well, we're gonna have to wrap it up soon, but go ahead. I got
okay.
one or two more questions.
Yeah, just
You
I
can
just well,
blast them. I'll give you shorter answers. Go ahead.
not a problem. Um, I just wanted to cover before we end your new album. You put out something, Joy and Pain with Blue.
Fantastic.
So can you please talk about the new album?
First and foremost, I got to shout out the good brother DJ AOK on the Aina Kauai worldwide. Fantastic cat with a vision. Basically approaching me like, Mike, there's different aspects of your style that you cover, but I don't think people have heard you on some more straight ahead hip hop, beats with good sonics, good mixing, and just you more in your natural hip hop element as opposed to some of the more dubsteppy or quirkier songs I've done through the years. I've done all kinds of songs. And he said, I got this producer, man, and he, introduced me to Profound. And sadly, Profound died year before last. And I was looking forward to meeting him because we talked a couple of times on the phone, and here's kids and stuff in the background playing. And, I've been scheduled to go to UK anyway, and I was going to, run down on him and check him out so we can get video content and do stills and shots for the artwork for this project. Oh, man. But he passed away, man. So this record is kind of like, in honor of him, posthumous. And we did a series of songs, some that will be released as videos and others as singles. But AOK decided just to put together a 9-side demonstration, 9-side project, 9 songs rather, and our 9, sides. And I had a song on it that was called Cloud 9, but I was thinking 9 Clouds would be an interesting title for this project. And so that's why we have 9 songs, 9 different clouds, or 9 clouds as in a verb, like 9 smokes or 9 mystifies or mysticism, but also it has the connotation of the heavenly, the colloquial, heavenly sort of vibration, in honor of Profound. And the songs are interesting. I come in straight ahead block style. It's heavily featured, probably one of the most heaviest featured albums where I'm like, have at it, Ab. Go for it, AC. Go ahead and crush it, Blue. Go ahead and kill it, Blueprint. Go ahead, Grouch, do your thing. Go ahead, Eli, have at it. Lily Fangs and, just all the elements came together for a very nice sonic sounding piece. And the 9 songs don't sound, when you hear them in succession, the piece, it doesn't sound short and it doesn't sound long and it doesn't necessarily leave you wanting more, but it doesn't leave you feeling like you could have had more. It's got a good feel to it. It's definitely a piece that I would suggest you guys get out of my catalog.
Dope, man. Well, Myka, I think you.
It slaps, bro. It slaps. It really sounds good. It's one of my better sonic sounding albums, bro. And we just dropped a new single just now, Joy and Pain Today. Thank you again, once again, for having me, helping me with our promotion and campaign. And Blue, he crushes it. He just locks in the style. I kind of bookend, the beginning and the end. And, it's an honor to work with him. I'm on his album that he put out not too long ago, a couple of tunes. And, he's always been our staunchest supporters, as am I his. So that was an honor.
So, well, I thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time. This is an honor for me, as a longtime fan. So I really appreciate you coming on West Coast Styles. Before we end, can we get a drop for the site for westcoaststyles.com, please?
It's all love. This is Myka 9. You're watching and or listening to westsidestyles.com.
Yeah, westcoaststyles.com.
It's all love. This is Myka 9.
All right.
You are watching and listening to the westcoaststyles.com show.
Yeah.
It's all love. All right, let me just say it right. Let me say it one more time for you, right? All right, one more time. Here you go.
Go for it, bro.
It's all love. This is Myka 9. You're listening to westcoaststyles.com. Peace.
Yeah. Thank you. You have a wonderful night. I really appreciate you again. And thank you guys for tuning in.
It's all love, infinitely expanding and contracting simultaneously everywhere. God is greatest. Peace.
Thank you.
Gone.
What time is it?
Okay, we have some fabulous live music later on, but right now, here's the kind I prefer.